Welcome everyone to The Journey, our in-house worshipers and our online viewers. Grateful to be together this morning. This is what I call a gap week. You don't call it that, but it's because we finished our Landscapes of Faith series, and we're going to be moving on to another series. But I got a couple weeks in between series, and typically my kind of go-to when I have a couple gap in a Sunday in between is I love the Psalms. And I always drift back to the Psalms when I have a space that I'm not just filling a space. I'm like, there's some really, really good stuff in here that I want to share with you. And my hope is always that I can, in sharing things from the Psalms, create more passionate lovers of the Psalms, because they are God's gift to us. So much of the Bible is God speaking to his prophets through his words and to them. The Psalms are people crying out back to God. Their faith, their love, their worship, but also their doubts and their fears and their anxieties and their uncertainties. And it kind of brings those things together. So this morning we're going to look at Psalm 57. If you want to grab a Bible or pull up your YouVersion app or something and look at it, because we're going to walk through this text today, just kind of pull some things out of there that I think are really, really important. Psalmist begins this way, and the psalm is credited to David. Psalm 57, he says, "Have mercy on me, O God, have mercy on me. I look to you for protection. I will hide beneath the shadow of your wings until the danger passes by. I cry out to God Most High, to God who will fulfill his purpose for me. He will send help from heaven to rescue me, disgracing those who hound me. My God will send forth his unfailing love and faithfulness. I am surrounded by fierce lions who greedily devour human prey, whose teeth pierce like spears and arrows, and whose tongues cut like swords. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. May your glory shine over all the earth. My enemies have set a trap for me. I am weary from distress. They have dug a deep pit in my path, for they themselves have fallen into it. My heart is confident in you, O God. My heart is confident. No wonder I can sing your praise. Wake up, my heart. Wake up, O lyre and harp. I will wake the dawn with my song. I will thank you, Lord, among the people. I will sing your praise among the nations. For your unfailing love is as high as the heavens. Your faithfulness reaches to the clouds. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. May your glory shine over all the earth." The psalm is credited again to David, and we don't always get a lot of details about the context of the Psalms. This is one of the few that we do. It says that David was fleeing from Saul and hiding in a cave. And the general kind of posture, context of this thing is that David is just saying, I'm in it deep. I'm in it. I'm in the pit here. He says, I'm surrounded by fierce lions who want to devour me. My enemies have set a trap. There's actually a descent going on. He starts out, he's dwelling among them. He's surrounded by them. But then it goes on to say that he's weary and distressed. He's kind of being pressed down, even to the point where they want to bury him. They want to put him into a pit. David says, I'm in it deep. I'm going down. I think one of the obstacles to the Psalms for many of us is that most of us, not people who are listening to this message, people who are here today, many of us live in kind of a relative state of peace. And by relative, it's not that our lives are like empty of anxiety or stress or stuff, but most of us don't have anybody trying to, say devour us with their arrow-speared teeth. Like most of us, like when we came to church this morning and we leave the house today, we're probably not going to be looking over our shoulder to see if somebody's going to like devour us and tear us. Now, that's not to say everybody, but many of us, and I think for sometimes that kind of becomes a disconnect. When we hear all this enemy language, and okay, I got some harsh, sometimes life's tough, but it's not like that. I'm not hiding in a cave today. Maybe I have a bad boss or a rude neighbor, or a family member who annoys me. But nobody's trying to kill me. But do you feel at some points trapped? Right? Are you in a place in your life where you feel like you're stuck where you are and it's not where you want to be, and kind of like it seems like things are swirling around you and you can't move from that place? Do you feel weary? Distressed? Do you have a sense of just being worn out? Do you feel like life sometimes is just too much? Is that feeling growing by the day or by the week, by the month? You just feel like it just gets heavier and heavier and heavier? When Jesus says, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. The followers of God, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Or when Peter says the devil prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Or Paul writes to the church at Ephesus, the battle isn't against flesh and blood, but against rulers and authorities, the powers of this dark world. Is that just hyperbole? Right? I mean, it's just like this exaggerate. Or are they telling us something that we need to know? Is there an enemy in play in your story that maybe is not trying to devour you with sharp teeth, but is perfectly happy just to wear you down to the point where you just kind of lose your drive, your motivation, your spirit, your passion? Is there an enemy in play in your story? And if there is, what's your next play? What's your next move? David says, I'm in it deep and I'm looking to God. Have mercy on me, God. Have mercy. I look to you for protection. I cry out to God Most High. And when I read this, like David's like, it's rough, it's bad, it's tough. And his default response is, God, help me. And I'm struck by that because so many of my defaults are not that. So many of my defaults are like, oh man, I'm just tired. I'm just worn out. I'm frustrated with this. It's like, it's just not that big a deal. Everything's being all fine. Things come and go. What's a big deal? Just kind of press on. Or I'm really frustrated. But I think if I just like binge on Netflix for a couple hours, that I can just distract myself and it'll kind of go away and it won't bother me so much. Or something's bugging me and gets under my skin, and I start to ruminate on it and like play out all the terrible things that are going to happen as a result of it, and then the stress and anxiety just kind of grows on top of that. Or maybe I'll find someone, unsuspecting soul, to just like in the kindest, most subtle way complain. Not really complaining, it's more like lamenting, but really it's just complaining, right? Think of all the things that I do when it starts to feel that weight. And like my default response is not help, God, I need you. It's all this other stuff that creeps in first. I'm struck by the fact, he's like, God, I need you. And that's my go-to. And then he says, I will hide beneath the shadow of your wings. He cries out for help, and then he says, God, I'm hiding in you. He says, I'm asking for help, and I'm moving on it now. I'm going into that space. I'm going into that place. God, I want your help. And I'm believing in it. And I'm hiding in it. When our kids were little, we lived in a house in Indiana, and we had this stump next to our house. It was about that tall. And I don't remember how old she was, but Kaylee, I don't even know how she got up there, but she's standing on top of this stump. And we're just standing out there, and I'm kind of like, doing something else. And she says, "Catch me, Daddy." And I turn around, and she's like Superman flying through the air coming towards me. And it's like, I saw her, and I caught her. But she cried out, she says, "Catch me, Daddy." And she did not wait for me to say, okay. She just jumped. That's what David's doing here. It's like, "Catch me, Daddy." And he leaps into that space. "God, I need your help, and I'm going there, trusting you." And if the enemy is real, if we buy that, if we believe that, hey, we really do have an enemy who's out to take us out, just to wear us down, to make us weary, to steal our joy, to take our peace, to rob us of purpose, if we really do have an enemy that's real. And I think most of us, like if we stop and think, it's like, oh yeah, life does feel harder than maybe I wish it was. And if I'm made for life and it's not exactly what I'm feeling is an abundant life, right? If the enemy is real, is the protection that the Bible, is that real too? Is that just as real as the enemy we read about? That there really is the shadow of the wings, that God is our refuge, that God is a strong tower, that God is a hiding place that we can run to, and we truly, just as the enemy is coming after us, we have a space and a place where we're safe and secure in God? David's going there, believing in it, believing that God will come through. Verse 2, God will fulfill his purpose for me. Verse 3, he will send help from heaven. He will do this. It's going to happen. He will send his unfailing love and faithfulness. God will. And God did. God did come through for David. The trap they set for me, right? They're digging a pit. They're going to bear me. I'm toast. But the trap they set for me, God, they have fallen into it. My heart is confident in you, oh God. My heart is confident. I cried out for help. I believed you would save me. You saved me. I asked, have mercy on my God. Oh God, have mercy on me. Now my heart is confident, oh God. My heart is confident. And his default is now what? His default to trouble is crying out for help. His default for rescue, for salvation is, I will sing your praises. We go like from help to singing, the default response. First thing he does, I will sing. And then he says something that's kind of funny here. He says, I will wake up my heart. We'll wake up my heart. We'll come back to that. I will rouse the band, the harp and the lyre. That was their band. We've got drums and guitars and keyboards, but they're strings. They actually have strings on them. It's the same kind of idea. I will rouse the band. In fact, I'm going to wake up the dawn. I'm going to wake up the daylight and say, here we go, guys. We got to sing because God came through for me again. Singing. It's like I had this roommate when I was in college next door in my dorm. I'm not kidding. Every Saturday morning, this guy at 6:30 in the morning, he had the biggest, baddest stereo I've ever heard in my life, and he would blast it at 6:30 in the morning, just playing this. It's like he was waking up, not just the dawn, he was waking up everybody in the dorm. I don't know why he felt compelled to do that, if he was having some kind of divine, no, the music was not necessarily divine, but it did wake everybody up just the same. I will wake up the dawn with my song. I will sing your praises among the nations. I'm going to tell everybody. Be exalted, O God, above the highest heavens. May your glory shine over all the earth. He says this refrain twice, the middle and the end. Be exalted, O God, above the highest heavens. May your glory shine over all the earth. The help that David is crying out for in this psalm, and we see it several times, is the intersection of heaven and earth. It's heaven coming to earth. When he says he will send help, he says he will send help from heaven to rescue me. Now, it doesn't say to earth in here, but if it's coming from heaven and I'm on earth, he's sending help from heaven up there to here to rescue me. The highest heavens, the glory shining over the earth. Verse 10, your unfailing love is as high as the heavens. Your faithfulness reaches to the clouds. Be exalted, O God, above the highest heavens. May your glory shine over the earth. When heaven comes to earth, when heaven intersects with earth, it emanates glory. And glory is a really, really big word in the scriptures. In verse 2, David says, I cry out to God Most High, to God who will fulfill his purpose for me. The word that he is translated, will fulfill his purpose for me. It means he's going to complete me. He's going to make me perfect. The NIV, I'm reading from the New Living Translation this morning. The NIV says, he will vindicate me. He's going to take me from where I am now and put me back to where I was. He's going to make me perfect. What is that? David has said in Psalm chapter 8, verse 5, you have made us, humanity, a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. The word glory. It's like when he vindicates, he's making me complete again. He's actually restoring to me what was lost. Verse 3 says, he will send help from heaven to rescue me, disgracing those who hound me. Disgracing those who are trying to trample me into the ground. Disgracing those who would say, mud on your face, big disgrace, kicking your can all over this place. And they had set this trap that they're going to disgrace him, but they end up, in turn, they get disgraced. It's the work of the enemy. How long, Psalm 4, how long will your people turn my glory into shame, disgrace? Taking this beautiful gift, the way that we embody the glory of God, created in his image and likeness and are disgraced by sin, is being restored. That's what David is being rescued from, his disgrace, and that's what David is being restored to, his glory. So when you come to verse 8, David says, wake up, my heart. Wake up, my heart. Or in the NIV, awake my soul. The word that David uses there, that he actually uses, we don't translate it this way, and I'm not sure why, but it's heart or soul. It's actually, the word is glory. David is saying to himself, to his inner being, to his essence, he's saying, wake up my glory. Wake up that part of me that's created in the image and likeness of God and is to create, and it was designed to bring him, to reflect his glory to the whole earth. He's saying to him, wake up my heart. God's answer to David's cry for help isn't merely protection from his enemy. That's what he wants. It's the restoration of what's been taken from him. And so when he says, wake up my heart, he's saying, God has done something here. God has restored something in me. Now I've got to get my insides, my heart, my soul. I've got to get my glory lined up in tune with the glory that has come down from heaven so that we're on the same link now. Wake up, right? Wake up my glory. And the means by which God accomplishes the restoration of David's glory, making him perfect again, is by unleashing his glory on the earth. He says, God will send help from heaven, and the help that he sends is what? He says he will send forth his unfailing love and faithfulness. He will send forth. What's coming from heaven to rescue him is God's unfailing love and faithfulness. The Hebrew word is the word hesed. It's like one of the words that's most often used to describe God. It's translated steadfast love, unfailing love, enduring love, mercy. It's love that does not quit, does not let up, does not relent, keeps coming and coming and coming. One of the things I love about the Psalms is how so many of them, the things that the psalmist is asking for, are actually pointing us to and preparing us for the coming of Christ. David's crying out for help from heaven. The help that he's looking for is unfailing love and faithfulness. Hebrews says in the past, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets at many times and in various ways. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things, and through whom also he made the universe. The Son is the radiance of God's glory. The Son is the radiance of God's glory, the exact representation of his being, sustaining all things by his powerful word. The Son is heaven coming to earth. And that what he's revealing when he comes to earth is the glory of God. God in his glory. This is what God does in his glory, is send forth his unfailing love and faithfulness to restore our glory. And so Paul can write, we all who with unveiled faces contemplate the Lord's glory, this one who came from heaven to earth, as we contemplate the Lord's glory, are being transformed into his image with ever increasing glory, which comes from the Lord who is the Spirit. His glory, his unfailing love and faithfulness sent in answer to David's prayer. Like, here's the final answer, David. The final answer to your prayer is Jesus. The deepest longing of our heart is to be whole, to be restored, to be full of life in all of its abundance. It's what David cried out for, and it's what God gave him and us ultimately in Christ. So I want to just 5 things to pull out of this psalm. Cue the band, right? This is cue the band. The first thing I would encourage you to do is to face the music. Put aside the dismissing or the denial. Set aside your distractions for half a minute. Put that nasty little thing called your cell phone down that's telling you that, everything in the world is falling apart, or this is how to put it back together. Face the music. Whatever is going on in your life, it is not just you. It's not just your problem. And it's not your spouse, and it's not your neighbor. It's not the person you defined as an enemy. Now, all of those can be means through which, I'm not saying they're the devil, I'm saying the devil used things in their lives and in your life to take us out, to just face the music. You have an enemy. And he is unrelenting in his pursuit. The problem is our battle is not against flesh and blood. So when you read the Psalms and you come to these passages and say, the enemy is out to destroy me, I'm hiding in a cave, because that's your story. If you can describe your life as anything less than full and abundant, if you're racked by anxiety, distress, by fear, by doubt, that comes from somewhere. And it's not just you. Face the music. We have an enemy. And start with the major chord. Start with if you read through this psalm and you count it, the name of God or pronouns referring to God, you, he, are used 20 times. When David's crying out, he's saying, all of my attention, all of my focus, everything I believe in is all going to God. The major chord is not my problem. The major chord is God, and that's who I'm looking to. That's who I'm crying out to. That's who I know and counting on and believing in to rescue me. Face the music and start with the major chord. God is the center of the story. God is our help. God is our rescue. And when you play that chord, play it like you mean it. Our worship team, they did this on purpose this morning. I asked them to do it. The second song, that when they started, it was like they didn't quite know when to come in, and there was a couple false starts, right? I think that's how we pray oftentimes. Like, God, like David said, help, I'm running. Catch me, Daddy, I'm leaping, right? Pray it. Say it. Believe it. Even as you're saying it, and before God has shown up with the rescue, believing already that just as real as the enemy is, so is the shelter. Play it like you mean it. And learn the music. Learn the music. Not just the melody, not just the moment, the whole score of the music. So many of my prayers are, God, get me out of this jam. Or God, bring me through this challenge. Or God, fix this problem. Usually some version of God, just help me get through another day. Just let's get through another day. Not first and foremost, God, rescue me. Restore my glory. Make me perfect. God, bring me back into the full radiance. Bring heaven to earth and fill me up so no matter what happens on earth, I'm dwelling in your presence in the fullness and the abundance of heaven. The whole song. I had a friend, she was our kids' piano teacher. Her name was Laura. And when she was in her late 20s, she was diagnosed with a degenerative disease. And it took about 27 years for it to run its full course. And I was with her towards the end of her life. She was 55 years old. Her favorite psalm was Psalm 91. And Psalm 91 begins with the same idea that we find in Psalm 57. It says, he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge, my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Right? This is her favorite psalm. She's been living in this. And I'm with her, and like one of the last times I saw her, and I'm reading her favorite psalm to her. And this psalm is like running to the rescue, but then it goes on to say things like this. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near me. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked, right? It's not going to happen to you because you're in the shadow of the Almighty. Everything's going to be fine. He will commend his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. And as I'm reading on, I'm like, I don't want to read the last verse of the psalm because I know where it's going to go. And I know what it's going to say. And it's like, how do you say to someone who is going to die when they're 55 years old? And I would have omitted it, except I knew she knew it so well that she would knew that I cut it out. He will call upon me and I will answer. I will be with them in trouble. I will deliver and honor them. With long life I will satisfy and show them my salvation. Laura had a vision a few years before. And in her vision, she saw a boardwalk. It was a long boardwalk, and there were people around. But the thing that, as she's looking at the boardwalk, she's seeing the people that had been with her in her life and had helped her along the way. But at the boardwalk, the thing that stuck out was that the boards were so close together that nothing could pass between the boards. And in that vision, God communicated to Laura that there was no place that she had been in the course of her life. Through her whole life, she'd been on this boardwalk. And there was no place that she was going that was outside of God's protection and God's provision and God's care. In life and in death. And that is the whole story, right? The whole story is God is with us every moment in the shadow of his wings into our final glory. And to live a life of faith without growing in our confidence in the end of the story is an exercise in futility. Right? If we try to live a life of faith, believing that we can have heaven on earth, we will never succeed and will become more and more and more frustrated throughout the journey. The whole story ends in glory. It ends in glory. But it passes from death to life. And I think many of us, most of us, have a really, really hard time letting go of the life that we want to have here, and it's robbing us of the assurance of the glory that is eternal. We need to learn the whole score, learn the music. So, face the music, play the major chord, God, play it like you mean it, jump into it, learn the music, and lead the choir. Lead the choir. And it begins with our heart. Wake up and wake up my heart, wake up my glory. It's a new day, right? Wake up to the glory of God that has been restored in us through Jesus. Wake up my heart. Pull out your instrument, your that little device that takes all of your attention and put it on your favorite worship songs and play the song. Like music is a gift from God created. It touches the soul. It like gets inside of that glory in ways that words don't. Like play the song and share it. The hope that we have, the strength that we find, the encouragement, the joy, right? When we share, like we are witnesses. That's our calling, is not to be prosecutors of people's sin. It's not to be lawyers, defendants, judges. Like we are witnesses. When we see God, we cry out to God for help, and God helps, and we sing and we shout and we share God's goodness, and we invite other people into the story. Our heart song is God's story being written in and through our lives, and it is to be sung to his glory for our joy and to bring help and hope and strength to others. Lord, thank you for the Psalms. Thank you for Psalm 57. Thank you for the song that you are writing in our hearts and our lives that all of us are in some phase of right now. And maybe some of us feel like we are weary and about to fall into the pit God, I pray that you would hear our prayers, that we would be bold in our crying out, focused on you, on your glory, on your power, on your goodness, on your faithfulness, and believing and walking into it even while we're waiting for it. Awaken our hearts, Lord. Awaken our hearts, awaken our souls to the life of God in us, the power of the Spirit. And let your light shine through us, I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.